Have you ever pondered the power that lies beneath our feet, particularly in Jamaica? Our planet is a dynamic sphere, constantly shifting and changing under the influence of forces we rarely see. In the heart of the Caribbean, on the island of Jamaica, this unseen power manifests itself with a terrifying intensity.
Welcome back to the History Shovel channel. Today, we're gonna delve deep into the top 5 most powerful, most devastating earthquake to ever rock the beautiful tropics of Jamaica. Jamaica is located at the boundary of the Caribbean plate and the Geneve microplate, which are situated between the North American plate and the Caribbean plate. This unique geological setting makes Jamaica particularly susceptible to seismic activities. The Caribbean plate is moving in an east-northeast direction relative to the North American plate, creating a significant stretch along their boundaries. As these tectonic plates interact, they can become locked together due to friction, causing stress to accumulate over time to that of a magnitudinal proportion. The primary type of fault associated with earthquakes in Jamaica is strike-slip faults. These faults occur when two blocks of crust slide past each other horizontally. The movement along these faults does not typically cause tsunamis, as they do not involve vertical displacements of the ocean floor. Instead, they result in lateral shifts that can lead to significant ground shaking during an earthquake. Jamaica has a long history of seismic events, with records indicating that it may experience up to 200 felt.
Have you ever pondered the power that lies beneath our feet, particularly in Jamaica? Our planet is a dynamic sphere, constantly shifting and changing under the influence of forces we rarely see. In the heart of the Caribbean, on the island of Jamaica, this unseen power manifests itself with a terrifying intensity. Jamaica, a gem of the West Indies, is not only famed for its vibrant culture and stunning landscapes, but also for its unique geological location. Seated on the boundary of the North American and Caribbean tectonic plates, it's a hotbed for seismic activity. Throughout history, this paradise island has been rocked by several powerful earthquakes, leaving indelible marks on its landscape and people. These seismic events, however, do more than just shake the ground. They tell a story, a tale of nature's raw power and the resilience of the Jamaican people. Today, we unravel the tales of the 5 most devastating earthquakes that have shaken Jamaica. Our journey begins in the year 1692, a time when Port Royal was known as the richest and wickedest city in the world. A bustling port, rife with privateers and pirates, this Jamaican city was the jewel of the Caribbean, brimming with wealth and decadence. On a fateful day, June 7th, the ground beneath this thriving city began to tremble and then to heave. An earthquake of such magnitude as to become the stuff of legends had struck. In less than 10 minutes, the landscape of Port Royal was forever altered. Buildings, once standing tall and proud, crumbled like sandcastles. Streets, once bustling with activity, were swallowed whole by the sea. The very earth upon which the city stood turned to a deadly quicksand, pulling people and structures into its depths. The death toll was staggering. Of the city's approximate 6,000 inhabitants, nearly 2,000 lost their lives, either swallowed by the earth or drowned by the ensuing tsunami. The city's infrastructure was decimated. The grand structures, once symbols of Port Royal's wealth, were reduced to rubble. In the aftermath, the survivors found themselves in a city transformed. The richest and wickedest city was now a ghost town. The bustling port was silent, its ships sunk or stranded. The markets, once filled with goods from all over the world, were deserted. The once teeming population was halved, with many fleeing the city, never to return again. The 1692 Port Royal earthquake served as a stark reminder of the power of nature, a power that could wipe out a city in mere minutes. It marked the beginning of the end for Port Royal, as the city never fully recovered from the devastation. Yet amidst the ruins, the city's spirit endured, living on in the tales of its once glorious past and in the resilience of its survivors. A city once blooming with life and riches was reduced to ruins in mere minutes. Fast forward to 1780 and again to 1907, when Jamaica was once more brought to its knees. In the wake of the 1780 earthquake, destruction was widespread and the death toll was devastating. The tremors were so fierce that they flattened entire towns, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The island's capital, Kingston, was particularly hard hit, with many of its buildings reduced to rubble. The death toll was staggering, with an estimated 1,000 lives lost. But the people of Jamaica are resilient. In the face of such overwhelming devastation, they rallied together. Efforts were made to clear the debris and rebuild their beloved island home. This catastrophe, while brutal, also served to strengthen the resolve of the Jamaican people. However, the respite was short-lived. In 1907, Jamaica was once again rocked by a devastating earthquake. This time, the scale of the disaster was even more catastrophic. Over 1,000 buildings in Kingston were destroyed, leaving much of the city in ruins. The death toll was immense, with estimates ranging from 800 to 1,000 lives lost. The aftermath was a scene of utter devastation. Kingston, once a bustling city, was reduced to a ghost town. But once again, the spirit of the Jamaican people shone through. They rallied together, working tirelessly to rebuild their ravaged city. The 1907 earthquake was a turning point in Jamaica's history. It led to significant changes in building regulations and practices, with a focus on constructing structures that could withstand such powerful tremors. These two earthquakes, while devastating, also taught the people of Jamaica some valuable lessons. They learned the importance of preparation and resilience in the face of such destructive forces. They realized the need for robust building codes and practices to mitigate the impact of future earthquakes. These catastrophes served as cruel reminders of the power that lies beneath. As we venture into more recent history, we encounter the tremors of 1957 and 1993. The year was 1957. And the land of wood and water, Jamaica, was shaken to its core by a significant earthquake measuring 7.5 on the Richter scale. The epicenter was located near the middle of the island, causing widespread damage. Schools, hospitals, homes and churches crumbled under the intense shaking, painting a picture of devastation that was all too familiar to the resilient Jamaican people. The death toll reached 156, a stark reminder of the unforgiving power that lies beneath the Earth's surface. Fast forward to 1993, and Mother Nature unleashed her fury once again. This time the earthquake was less intense, registering 6.2 on the Richter scale. However, the epicenter was near Kingston, the island's densely populated capital. Buildings swayed, roads cracked, and panic ensued. Despite the lower magnitude, the damage was considerable due to the location of the earthquake. Miraculously, the death toll was significantly lower this time around, with only 10 lives lost. This reduction was largely due to the improvements in building codes and increased public awareness following the 1957 disaster. Both these earthquakes were stark reminders of the raw power of nature. They rattled the island, disrupted lives, and caused significant destruction. Yet they also showcased the indomitable spirit of the Jamaican people. Amidst the rubble and chaos, stories of heroism, resilience, and community emerged. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers became friends, and a nation stood united in the face of adversity. The aftermath of these quakes brought about significant changes in the island's approach to disaster management. Stricter building codes were enforced, early warning systems were improved, and the public was educated about earthquake preparedness. These events remind us once again of the unpredictable nature of our planet. As we reflect on these seismic events, what lessons can we draw from them? The tale of Jamaica's 5 most devastating earthquakes is one of both anguish and resilience. Each quake, from the catastrophic event in Port Royal in 1692 to the tremor in 1993, has imprinted indelible lessons on the canvas of time. The 1692 Port Royal quake, which sunk half the city, and the subsequent ones in 1780 and 1907, which caused significant damage and loss of life, underscored the volatile nature of our planet. These events emphasized the critical role of preparedness in mitigating the impacts of such disasters. They taught us that being ready isn't merely about having an emergency kit at hand, but also about understanding the seismic risks and planning accordingly. The 1957 and 1993 quakes, though less deadly, were potent reminders of the importance of infrastructure resilience. They highlighted that our buildings, roads and bridges must be designed and constructed to withstand the tremors. This isn't just about engineering and architecture. It's about safeguarding lives and livelihoods. Each of these earthquakes also brought to the fore the power of community response. When the ground shook and structures crumbled, it was the Jamaican people who rushed to each other's aid, displaying remarkable courage and compassion. This spirit of unity and mutual support, more than anything else, has been instrumental in the nation's recovery from these disasters. So, as we delve into the past, we find that the lessons are clear and timeless. Preparedness, infrastructure resilience, and community response are not just strategies for disaster management, they are pillars of a resilient society. They are the tools with which we can face the unseen power beneath us, not with fear, but with determination and strength. As we remember these tragedies, we also honor the resilience of the Jamaican people, who have continually risen from the rubble, stronger and more united. For in the end, it is not the earthquake that defines us, but how we respond to it.
Imagine that. Notable historical earthquakes include those in 1692 and 1907, which caused extensive damage and loss of life. The frequency and intensity of these earthquakes highlight Jamaica's vulnerability due to its tectonic setting. The geology of Jamaica contributes further to its earthquake risk. The island's rock layers are subjected to stress from tectonic movements, leading to fractures or faults within the Earth's crust. When this built-up energy is released suddenly, it results in an earthquake. The regional complex geological structure includes various types of rocks that respond differently under stress, which can influence the nature and the severity of seismic events. Given its susceptibility to earthquakes, Jamaica has implemented measures through organizations like the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management (ODPEM) to promote awareness about earthquake hazards and encourage personal protective actions among residents. This proactive approach aims to mitigate risk associated with potential future seismic events. Jamaica is prone to earthquakes primarily due to its location at the boundary between tectonic plates, specifically in the Caribbean plate and the Geneva microplate. Its history of significant seismic activity, the presence of strike slip faults, and its geological features that facilitates energy accumulation and release during tectonic movements. As I introduce you to my right-hand man, Mr. Rupert Doodleberg.
Ever wonder how a gentle breeze evolves into a force that can reshape entire landscapes? Picture this. A light wind picks up over the warm ocean surface, gathering heat and moisture as it travels. This warm air rises, creating an area of low pressure beneath it. More air rushes in to fill this void, and as it does, it too warms, rises and cools, forming clouds. This cycle repeats, each loop growing stronger and more intense, spiraling around a calm center, the eye of the storm. This, my friends, is the birth of a hurricane. These monstrous storms are not born overnight. It's the result of an intricate dance between the ocean and the atmosphere, a ballet performed over days, sometimes weeks. The warm tropical waters provide the stage, and the winds above conduct the performance. Together they create a spectacle of nature that is as awe-inspiring as it is terrifying. But how do we measure these tempestuous performances? Enter the Saffir-Simpson scale, a 1 to 5 rating system based on a hurricane's sustained wind speed. This scale estimates potential property damage. Hurricanes reaching Category 3 and higher are considered major hurricanes because of their potential for significant loss of life and damage. On this scale, a Category 1 storm has winds of 74 to 95 miles per hour, enough to cause some damage to buildings and other structures. A Category 5 hurricane, the highest on the scale, boasts wind speeds of over 156 miles per hour. These storms can cause catastrophic damage, flattening houses, uprooting trees, and turning harmless objects into deadly projectiles. Understanding the formation and power of hurricanes is not just a matter of scientific curiosity. It's about acknowledging the sheer power of nature, realizing our vulnerability, and learning how to better prepare for and respond to these devastating events. Now, let's dive deeper into the destructive world of hurricanes, starting with the first of our top 5, Hurricane San Calixto. Dating back to the 18th century, our first hurricane is San Calixto, also known as the Great Storm of 1780. This was a tempest that wrote itself into the annals of history. Its fury was unmatched, its devastation unparalleled, and its legacy enduring. Hurricane San Calixto was a force of nature that seemed to defy all comprehension. It was not just a storm, but a cataclysm, a whirlwind of destruction that swept across the Caribbean, leaving little in its wake. The breadth of its impact was staggering, affecting areas from Barbados to Puerto Rico, and even reaching as far as Bermuda and the east coast of North America. The death toll was estimated to be in the tens of thousands, making it one of the deadliest hurricanes in recorded history. Barbados bore the brunt of the storm, with hardly a tree left standing on the island. The once verdant landscape was stripped bare, transformed into a desolate wasteland by the storm's relentless winds. The aftermath of San Calixto was a scene of unimaginable devastation. Buildings, crops, and entire communities were obliterated. The storm wrought havoc on the region's economy, disrupting trade and plunging many into poverty. The recovery was slow and arduous, the scars of the storm visible for many years after. But it was not just the physical damage that made San Calixto so devastating. The psychological toll was equally profound. The storm was a grim reminder of the merciless power of nature, a wake-up call that left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of the Caribbean. Yet, in the face of such adversity, the people of the Caribbean showed remarkable resilience. They rebuilt their lives, their communities, and their economies, demonstrating a spirit of endurance and determination that is truly inspiring. San Calixto set a grim standard for hurricanes, but unfortunately it was far from the last of its kind. This storm stands as a stark reminder of the raw, unbridled power of nature, a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming adversity. Fast forward to 1998 and we encounter Hurricane Mitch, a slow-moving disaster that took the world by surprise. Our story begins in the late October of 1998 when a storm began to brew in the Caribbean Sea. What started as a tropical depression quickly escalated into a Category 5 hurricane, christened with the name Mitch. But what set Mitch apart was not its sheer power, but its agonizing pace. This hurricane moved at a crawl, hovering over Central America and relentlessly pouring rain for days on end. Mitch's slow motion was its most destructive attribute. As it lingered over Honduras and Nicaragua, the torrential downpour caused rivers to overflow their banks and hillsides to collapse. Entire villages were swept away, and major cities found themselves underwater. The storm claimed more than 11,000 lives and left over 1 million people homeless, making it one of the deadliest hurricanes in history. But the devastation didn't end with the storm. The aftermath of Mitch was characterized by disease, famine, and economic collapse. With infrastructure decimated, vital supplies couldn't reach those in need. Clean water was scarce, leading to outbreaks of cholera and dengue fever. Food was hard to come by, and the region's agriculture was devastated. The economies of Honduras and Nicaragua, already among the poorest in the Western Hemisphere, were set back by decades. Mitch was a tragedy in slow motion, a calamity that unfolded over days rather than hours. It was a stark departure from the quick, violent storms we often associate with hurricanes. Yet the destruction it wrought was no less severe. Perhaps even more so because of the time it had to inflict its damage. Mitch's slow pace amplified its destruction, a chilling reminder of how each hurricane carries its unique brand of devastation. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina redefined the meaning of catastrophic, becoming the costliest storm in US history. This relentless force of nature was a stark reminder of how vulnerable we are to the whims of the weather. Katrina began as a mere tropical depression, gradually gaining momentum over the Bahamas before escalating into a Category 5 hurricane over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Its final landfall was in Louisiana, but not before it had wreaked havoc across a swathe of the United States from Florida to Texas. The city that bore the brunt of Katrina's wrath was New Orleans, a vibrant, bustling city known for its lively music scene and rich cultural heritage. New Orleans was brought to its knees by this devastating hurricane. Katrina's powerful winds and surging waters overwhelmed the city's defenses, leading to the failure of the levees. These levees, designed to protect the city from flooding, crumbled under the onslaught, allowing Katrina's storm surge to inundate around 80% of New Orleans. Homes were destroyed, streets were turned into rivers, and entire neighborhoods were washed away in the blink of an eye. But the destruction didn't end when the storm abated. In the aftermath of Katrina, the city was plunged into chaos. Essential services were disrupted, roads were impassable, and thousands were left homeless. The rescue and relief efforts were hampered by the sheer scale of the disaster, and it took months, even years, for the city to begin to recover. Even now, more than a decade later, the scars left by Katrina are still visible. The storm served as a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the need for better disaster preparedness and the importance of investing in infrastructure that can withstand such catastrophic events. Katrina's impact is still felt today, a testament to the enduring power of hurricanes. It's a stark reminder of the fragile balance between humanity and nature, and the price we pay when that balance is upset. Our final hurricane, Maria, struck in 2017, leaving an indelible mark on Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. Hurricane Maria, a name now synonymous with devastation, swept through the Caribbean in September of 2017. This Category 5 storm, the 10th most intense Atlantic hurricane on record, set its sights on Puerto Rico, a vibrant island known for its rich culture and lush landscapes. Maria made landfall with winds reaching a staggering 175 miles per hour. The hurricane's wrath was unyielding, leaving the island in a state of utter devastation. Infrastructure crumbled, homes were obliterated, and the island's lush greenery was stripped bare. The storm's aftermath was a haunting reflection of its brutal strength. But the hurricane's physical destruction was just the beginning. The island's power grid was decimated, leaving the entire island without electricity. For many months following the hurricane, Puerto Ricans lived in darkness, a grim testament to Maria's long-lasting impact. Basic necessities like clean water, food, and medical supplies became scarce, exacerbating the already dire situation. Even years after the storm, the scars of Maria remain. The hurricane's impact on the island's economy and mental health of its residents cannot be overstated. The storm claimed thousands of lives, either directly or indirectly, and left an indelible mark on the people of Puerto Rico. Maria, like the others, serves as a stark reminder of the relentless power of nature. So, we've journeyed through time, witnessing the might and fury of these top 5 hurricanes. From the great storm of 1780's unyielding tempest to Hurricane Maria's modern-day monstrosity, each storm paints a vivid picture of the relentless and unforgiving power of hurricanes. They've shown us how they can alter landscapes, devastate communities, and change lives forever. Understanding these storms is crucial, for their power is undeniable, their impact unforgettable, and their lessons invaluable. Stay safe, and remember, respect the power of nature.
I do this for the poor, I do this for the less fortunate. Justice now when I need them beaten. 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 Mr. Justice now when I need them beaten. Hope on them, that's how them greeted. Father time still undefeated. Wrong, while them get posturpedic. Rank like donkey people. Vibration, man, I really feel it. Corrupted lace, man, afraid for peeling. Question, who gonna feed the needy? While them still a thief, and I really need it. Why the needs of the chief and the greedy. Leaders and meat, I forget for feed we. Rat them, really love the cheese and season. Tan bad till them end up badly beaten. Rascal act ungodly treason. Rich say a thief and without a reason. Explanation, it a worth believing. Treacherous lies bring forth deceiving. Funds off a run, one seat this evening. At the 4th grip, I got season greeted. Justice now when I need them beaten. Justice now when I need them beaten. Justice now when I need them beaten. Mr. Justice now when I need them beaten. Justice now now, we don't need them beating. Justice now, we don't need them beating. Justice now, we don't need them beating. Mr. Justice now, we don't need them beating. You ain't working for me anyway. You're working for the system. Vote for guns and bombs and hand grenade. Guess who turn out the victim?